Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to this introduction to the Star Wisdom Astrology course. So the reason I'm doing this introduction is so that you have an idea of how the course is structured. But first of all, what makes Star Wisdom Astrology unique? There are so many schools of astrology. There are so many schools where you can learn astrology. There are so many astrologers who have learned in different schools and then taken what they've learned and developed into their own method. And that's what I've done. I originally trained with the Huber School of Astrological Psychology, and I have a diploma in astrological counseling. And from that training, I have created this course. So first of all, it's very short. The minimum time any other course takes is 2 years, and my diploma course took 7 years. But what I found was that although it was awesome in that it gave me loads of time to practice, it also gave me a lot of skills and techniques that I never use. In the basics, there is enough. I mean, one of the things they do say about astrology, because it's got something like over 3,000 techniques, is that once you've used a few techniques, as soon as you start using more, all you're doing is reproducing the information again. So this course is short and simple, bare bones of what you need. Now, I've called it being based in alchemy. What do I mean by alchemy? I mean being able to transition from one state into another fast. And the thing about astrology is that it gives you a map, but that map only tells you the potential of where you could go or where you are. It doesn't actually tell you where you are, because that's up to you as an individual in terms of where you are on your alchemical journey, if you like. But simply put, an astrology map can tell you what that expression of that planet in that sign, in that house, what that might be at a very low vibration. And there's always something that we're living at a low vibration because our default is to go to a low vibration. We've got a monkey brain, wants to protect us. We go into flight or fight fear mode. So it can tell us what the low vibration expression might be. And it can also tell us what the highest vibrational expression might be that we can reach right now. It's always evolving. There will always be more. And within those two, there's a whole spectrum of ways that a particular planet and a sign in a house could express itself. They'll all come under a similar umbrella, but they will be at different levels of awakeness. So I call this the alchemy of the low vibration expressions to the very high vibration expressions. And this is relatively unique. There's not many astrologers. In fact, I've never come across another astrologer who will say to you, well, this is what it might look like at low vibration, and this is what it might look like at high vibration. They tend to just tell you what it looks like. So that's, I believe, the most critical, unique thing about this course. And then also, it's particularly designed for creatives. There's virtually no maths in this course. It helps if you can multiply by 6, and it helps if you can count to 30. But otherwise, there is no maths involved. in this course, unlike the majority of other courses which can involve a lot of maths. So the structure of this course is based in threes, if you like. These three circles, and I'm going to break them down and go through them a bit more slowly. But basically, there are 10 lessons and there are 10 planets, and each planet teaches a lesson. So I'm going to go through this a bit more slowly. So we start with this basic wheel, which is the StarWisdom Astrology course. And you can see how it's got 3 portions. So the first portion are colored red because this is about yang energy. Everything that sits in that third of the circle has a yang energy to it, whether it's a learning style or a planet. So red is yang, so active, engaged. And then we go to the green section, which is more neutral. So everything that sits in that green section is what we call has neutral energy, if you like. And then we have the third section, which is blue, and that is more yin, more receptive type energy. So first of all, we look at the lesson plans. So each lesson will be subdivided into 3 parts. The first part will be the introduction. So this is some information which you may find interesting. You might want to make a few notes. It's not so critical to your work as an astrologer, but it's like background information, which over time you'll gradually start to accommodate and you'll start to understand. And then we have the skill. You'll actually be taught the skill that this lesson is all about. And it's always a very simple skill for you to practice. And then finally, it's about integrating that skill so that it becomes something that is natural to you. And in that integration, you will be developing your natural ability to for your intuition ability and your natural ability to extrapolate and your natural ability to amalgamate pieces of information. So we start with the learning styles. So there are 3 learning styles that you're going to be taught. And this is where you start being taught by the planets. So the first learning style is about memory, and Pluto is teaching about memory. So there's some information that you need to memorize. It's not something that you can figure out from your skill. But it's things like the amount of time that it takes for a planet to go around the sun. It's about a bit about the history of the planet. It's not like stuff that is make or break whether you're going to be able to read a star map or not. So Pluto is the topmost god, if you like, and it's very much about will. And it's a bit like, you will learn these things. Then the next one is about intuition, because astrology, when you are with a client and you have their birth chart in front of you, you're using your intuition. You're using your intuition to look at that star map. And although there are things in it, you go, oh, I've seen that before. That expressed itself in that way when I saw it before. But now it's interrelating with something else in a slightly different way. How is that going to mix? And from that, you want to be stretching your imagination into that quantum field of oneness, your intuitive side, to access some new information, which you can then present to your client, your customer, your friend, your family, or whoever it is. And you can say, I'm wondering if this works like this for you. And sometimes you'll be wrong. Sometimes they go, oh yeah, actually, almost, it's just a little bit different. So this is about, Neptune teaches about the intuition. And then Uranus is about the experience, because you're not going to learn anything unless you use these skills, unless you keep putting them into practice. And so that you're actually building up your body of experience. So Uranus is also able to tap into that universal realm, but it does so, it's about creative intelligence. It does so based on what it has learned already. So you need some experience for that. So the first 3 lessons, we look at the learning styles, and we use these 3 planets, which are the outermost planets, the 3 gods, I call them. And then we come down to the next level of planets, and these are called the ego planets. Now, the sun represents our essence. It represents how we think, how we see ourselves. It's about our sovereignty. And then we have the moon, which is all about our emotional side. It's about our unconscious. It's what often is quite hidden. And then we have Saturn, which is about our authority. It's about how we take responsibility for ourselves, how we stand up as a leader or as a teacher. So these are what we call the 3 ego planets. And then we have the tool planets. So we start with Mars. This is another yang planet, like Pluto and the Sun were yang planets. So is Mars a yang planet? And this is all about our motivation. What's going to make us do something? Because Mars is all about action. And then we have 2 planets in the expansion zone, Mercury and Jupiter. Mercury is all about how we communicate, and Jupiter is about how we grow. And then finally, we have Venus in the acceptance. Venus is about receiving. It's about what we love, what we like to draw towards ourselves. So these are the tool planets. And they all have a relationship to the other planets that you saw under those colors. So you've got Pluto, Sun, Mars. We've got Neptune, Moon, Mercury, Jupiter. And then we have Uranus, Saturn, Venus. They sort of form like triplicates. So we have a triplicate, although it's 4 along the bottom. And then we have this triplicate, although it is 4 down the middle. So we end up with 10 planets and 10 lessons. So the StarWisdom Astrology course, there are actually 12 videos altogether. So there's the 10 lessons plus this introductory video. And then also you're going to get a video which shows you how to create unlimited free charts for yourself in the style of chart that we use in this course. Then you're also going to have 11 group coaching calls. So 1 at the start and 1 at the end. So the 10 lessons fall within, and roughly it's 1 every 2 weeks. You're going to get a personal reading, minimum of 90 minutes, which basically I use every skill that you are learning to read your chart. So you can see how they are all put together. And then we have a group WhatsApp where all the links for the lessons are put and the recordings of the group coaching calls, crib sheets, group charts, chats, etc. Questions, you can ask questions. In the group coaching calls, it's an opportunity for you to ask questions about the lesson that you've been working with for the last 2 weeks. You can ask me to go over the whole thing again if you want to. And often we look at the individual charts in the group in relation to the lesson that you've been learning. So you're all getting like an individual sort of top up, if you like, about your own chart. And then you can also see what I say or what we say about other people's charts, so that you can actually see how that links. You can see the correspondences. I should also say that every lesson is taught by a planet that wears a hat. This isn't one of them. So every planet has its own particular hat that it wears. So this is an example of a star map. This is mine. And I go through this briefly in the first lesson, and then obviously over the course, you will start to understand it a lot more. But you can see that we've got this is the map, the star map, with the wheel of the zodiac and the planets within it, and these around the outside are called the houses. Now, up here, you can say that it's a natal chart, method, Huber and Koch. So this is a Huber style star map. They're not really called star maps. They're called natal charts or birth charts or horoscopes even, but I like the term star map. And it's a Huber style. Other schools of astrology use very different styles of charts. And they've all got exactly the same information in them. They just look very different. This is the style that we'll be using for this course, and you'll start to see why, because it's a very visual star map. Most other star maps are more mathematical, and you have to actually figure out the maths. Whereas this is visual. It's like a pattern that becomes imprinted in your mind, in your imagination. And Huber charts always use what's called the Koch houses. So that's these around the outside. The houses were all developed by monks in the Middle Ages. And they all came up with there's quite a lot of different house systems. The majority of astrologers use the one that they were taught when they first started learning. I was taught Koch houses, because that's part of the Huber style. And for some of the techniques I'm going to be teaching you, it is important that you use the Koch house system. So now I'm going to introduce you to the Astro Lotus. So the Astro Lotus is something that I designed and an artist friend of mine constructed for me. Unfortunately, it's a little bit broken in one corner. I live in a van, so so this board represents the houses that I showed you going around the outside of the star map. And you'll come to discover what the houses are about, but I just wanted to show you. And these are done as if they were equal size, but actually the majority of star maps, the houses are not equal size. And then the next layer are the signs of the zodiac. And again, you're going to find out more about this in the first lesson. But I just want you to see how we can turn it round. Because at the moment that somebody is born, these could be in any orientation, depending on the time they were born and the time of year that they were born. So for me, this is the orientation. The AC is AS is a very important point in the chart, and I have Aquarius here. So that's that. And then the next layer are the planets. Now, again, you'd never ever see them equally spaced like this in a chart. But these are all the different symbols for the planets. You might be interested to know, you remember the 3 ego planets, Sun, Moon, Saturn? Well, you might be interested to know that these are always shown in red in a Huber chart. So we have the red Sun, the red Moon, and the red Saturn. So when you look at a Huber chart, those 3 always pop out at you, the 3 ego planets. And then finally, we have the next layer, which are the aspects. And again, we're going to be looking at those in lesson 1 and in lesson 3. So I'm not going to go into detail about them now, but you'll have seen in the middle of my chart, there were lots of colored lines. And so that's what this layer represents. The circle in the center is not just so that I can hold them. It actually represents, at one level, it represents the Earth, because we're on the Earth, and when we see the planets, we're looking at them from the Earth. But then equally also represents our most inner core. So if this is our connection, our divine connection, if you like, to the universe, it has no aspects in it. It has no influence. It's just pure light or pure soul connection. And then it's through the aspects and the planets and the signs and the houses that our personality, if you like, is expressed. So that's the Astro Lotus. So that's the introduction to the StarWisdom Astrology course. Every lesson will be taught by a planet wearing a hat. And the video will be about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. First of all, you'll get a piece of information telling you about the planet and its corresponding sign and its corresponding house, because each planet has a sign and a house that links to it. In fact, 2 of the planets have 2 signs and 2 houses, but we'll get there when we get there. In the meantime, just know that each planet teaches you about a sign and a house, and it teaches you a method of an astrological method, an astrological skill, and that skill is linked to the energy of the planet. So as you're learning the skill, you are using that planet to learn it. So the idea is that you end up with these 10 skills taught by 10 planets. And as you're using the skill, you're actually learning how that planet operates. So I really look forward to seeing you on the course and going on this journey of alchemical discovery with you. Love you all.